Okay, so I'm going to be sharing with you how I colored this Christmas tree and this little penguin over here, and how to shade a snowman or shadow some snow. And we're also going to be using the no line technique. I have stamped my images into Memento Desert Sand, and I've stamped onto my Copic Express It blending card. This is an adorable little stamp set by Heffy Doodle. And the stamp set is called Wanna Build a Snowman. So we are going to start by coloring the tree. And for the tree, I'm going to be using YG67, YG63, and YG61. We're going to start with the YG63. I'm sorry, 67. And we're just going to trace right along the bottom of each of these little sections of the tree. And the next one. And then we're going to take the YG63 and we're going to come up just a little bit more. And this time we're going to come up the sides a little bit. So since we're doing the no line technique, we want to fill in part of the outline. So that way it kind of looks like it's hand drawn, but we don't want it to just be that brown, so we want to fill it in. With each new lighter color, we're just going to come out a little bit more. And for the bottom, and then come up a little bit more, up the outline. And then we're going to go ahead and take our YG61, and we want to get a nice blend right along the edge of that 63, so you'll have to go back over it a couple of times because it is a little bit lighter. And then we're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the tree. So I really wanted to have a really soft look to this card, especially with that pink plaid background. So that's one reason why I did the no line technique and why I didn't get carried away with too many shadows on the tree and adding all the textures and stuff that I normally do. I just wanted it to be very soft and subtle. Okay, so just about finished here. And then we're going to go ahead and repeat. So I'm going to go back with my YG67. And I'm just basically tracing. See, notice I'm trying to get even thinner than I did the first time. So it's just a tiny bit of color. But since we went over it so many times with the lighter colors, it's kind of faded out. So that's why we want to go back and re-add them. And then again with the YG63. kind of lost my little line there. And then again, we're with the YG61. So since we already have color down, you can just add a couple little flicks and it should blend nicely into the color that you have laid down with the YG61 from the first layer of color. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of a shadow for the ribbon that's going along around the tree. So for that, I'm going to be using my W3, and I'm just going to add a little flick going down on each side. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we're going to take the W1 and we're going to continue just outlining. So we don't want that to be a brown, we want to kind of cover it up, and this does the trick. Oh, forgot this side. And then we can go ahead and take our W5 and we're just going to add a little tiny little flick on each side. Again, I kind of messed that up right there. Now I have to go fix it. Okay, so 1, 2. All right, so now let's go back with our W1 so I can fix my mistake. Now we have to go a little darker on everything. So I'm just flicking across, pulling some of that W5 out so I have more of a balance. There we go. So now for the bulbs, we're going to be making them a really vibrant pink to match the background up here. So I'm going to be using RVO4 and RVO2. I'm going to start with my RVO4, and I'm just going to trace right at the bottom of the bulb. And then we're going to take the RVO2 and just fill it in. So you don't necessarily have to blend that out, so that because you know the bulbs have that really light space, especially when they're glass or they're super shiny. So just go back and fill it in. It's okay if you have that harsh dark shadow going along the bottom. And then we're going to take our white gel pen and add little dots right up in the corner where it's the lightest, so it has that little shine. Alrighty, so now let's go ahead and shade these parts of the snowman's body. So for that, we're going to be using the W5, W3, W1, and W00. I'm going to start with my W3. So I always like to start with one of the middle colors, so that way we don't put too much dark. And so what we want to do is we want to shadow one side, and it's going to get thinner as you come around. So it's a little thicker, and then as you're moving around about halfway, it's going to get thinner, and then you're just going to stop. So we're going to do the same thing over here. And then it's going to stop. And then we're going to take the W1, and it's the same thing. So it's going to be a little thicker here, and then you're going to continue that line. So with each new lighter color, you're extending and outlining, so that way we're replacing that brownish color from the ink pad, and it's going to be this grayish color. So a little thicker around that edge and then thinner as you move across. And now with W00, we're going to go ahead and give a couple little flicks so that way it blends nicely into the white. And then we're going to continue tracing that outline so that way we've gone all the way around the snowball. So we've shadowed it, but we still have in the very center, right up here at the top, it is a little bit, it's white still. So now let's take the W5, and this time we're just gonna stay really close to that outline. We're not really trying to fill in anything, we just want to re-outline the image itself. And it's the same thing, it's gonna be a little thicker, and then you're going to try to have it taper off. Same thing on this side. And have it taper off. Then we're going to go back with W3 just to give this, just to blend it out a little bit. We're going to pull it across so it continues that outline. And then we're going to just kind of give a couple little flicks just to soften up that harsh line so it blends a little bit better into the shadow that we've already created. All right, moving right along. Now we're going to color this cute little penguin guy. So before we color the dark part of the penguin, we want to shadow the white area first. So let's go ahead and start with W3, and right underneath his hat and this whole line here that we're in between the two colors, we're just going to trace that. And then coming out from underneath his arm, there's also going to be a shadow from his arm right there. So we're going to trace going down a little bit right in there. And then also right down here, add a little bit of a shadow there. And then we'll take the W1, come out a little bit more. Remember, we still want to leave a white space. And then W00. All right, so now let's go ahead and color his body in. His body is just going to be the W7 and W5, maybe a hint of W3 if we have room, depending on how thick I go. So we're going to start with W7 and color right underneath the hat. And then you're going to come down that same line in between the two colors. And then the same thing right here, we're just going to trace the back part of the his little hand, and then all along the bottom, underneath the scarf, and back here. And then his little tail, we'll go ahead and add a little bit of a shadow going along the bottom. Now we're going to take that W5 and we're going to pull some of that W7 out and then fill in the rest of his body. All right, so let's go ahead and add a little bit more W7 to him, making those shadows a little thicker. And then W5 again, just to soften up the right along the edge. All right, So for his little beak and his feet, I'm going to take my YR04 and just fill it all in. And then I'm going to take my E33 just to give it a little bit of a shadow. So right along the back part of the beak, I'm just going to trace, and then coming down the center, and then right underneath the feet onto the top part where his body's kind of going over. And then we're going to go back and take our YR04 and go over that E33. Then let's go ahead and take our W1. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow on the hat. Oh, and a little bit on the little ball, just on the back side. And then we'll take the W00, kind of blend it out a little. So for his scarf and the hat, we're going to go ahead and make it this blue-green color. Now I know that there's little polka dots on there, and sometimes it's just too tiny to color around it. So we're going to go ahead and add those with a white gel pen after. So I'm going to start with my BG09. And right where it's tucked inside underneath his neck, over here, we're going to make a little, that's where it's going to be the shadowed area, and then coming along the bottom part of the one side. Let's go ahead and take the BG18, continue creating that shadow. Since we're mixing some different colors here, that's why I'm not going in any usually I go from dark to light, but we want to re-go over it so that way we get all these colors in there. It's creating this different color. So B99 is going to be the darkest, so I'm going to be very careful and try to just trace right along the edge of that. So right along the bottom up here, and then right along the side and underneath the part that folds. So it's creating that nice shadow. Then let's go ahead and take the BG09 and fill in the rest of the scarf. And then we'll take our white gel pen and we'll create some little polka dots. We're going to do the same thing with the hat. Let's go ahead and start with the BG09. So right above the part that's fluffy going across, we're going to make a shadow there and up the back. And then we'll take the BG18, continue with that shadow and mixing those colors. And then the B99, let's go ahead. You see how I kind of went outside the lines. So what I'm going to do is come out a little bit more. Just to kind of fix my mistake. And then we'll take the BG09. There we go. And again with our little dots for the hat. We also need to take a multiliner and retrace that eye. And there you have it. So that is pretty much how I colored my images for my card. I hope you enjoyed this Copic tutorial, and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.